All right. I was hungry this morning and I was like, I don't have any toast. I wish I had a piece of toast. I hadn't made bread in a little bit. So that's still kind of cold. Gonna do bread, gonna do the larger loaf. I do 666 grams of flour. What I want to do is get the milk not hot, but just not cold anymore. So yeah, there we go. It's lukewarm. When you put your fingers in it, you don't almost feel any temperature change at all. So it's in the mid 90s. To that, I'm going to add three tablespoons of sugar. Keep my spoon as a mixer. I'm going to use 1 packet of instant yeast, active dry yeast. What I've found and what I've researched and found other people online that they do, take it, stir it up. You want to mix the sugar and the yeast together. Activate it, I guess. I don't know. I'm still really new with yeast, so. But I love the way it makes bread. I think it's almost as good as the sourdough. It's way, if there's only one thing you want to compare it to, and that's work. The instant yeast is really nice because I'm making this on an afternoon because I have a little bit of time and then I have to get the oven warmed up anyway. We want to mix this up, let it sit for a few moments, let that yeast activate and give it some something to eat. So the milk and the sugar, it'll start combining there. Let's go ahead and get our flour together. It's just going to make a mess. Anytime I'm cooking, it's going to be a mess. So 666 grams. 666 grams. For the most part, almost everybody who bakes like this always goes by grams. Grams is a little more accurate, a little bit just easier with numbers. Whatever that means. Hey! Okay. Sometimes my mic doesn't work right. Or I forget to turn it on, really. It already has a pleasant odor. Let it, I mean, some people say 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Usually let it go for about 5 minutes or so. And in that time, just do this first, put it over to the side, mix it up, let it sit. And then in that time, I can get my other ingredients together, right? So I need an egg. I need a half a teaspoon of salt. So this is 1 teaspoon. If it gets a little bit wet, it's going to get way wetter soon. So I need an egg, salt, flour, and butter. As I'm waiting on everything else to go along, I noticed the the yeast is starting to float up and get puffy. So it should be should almost be ready. So there's my 2 tablespoons of butter. Here's an egg. And my hand as a mixer. So now I mix all these ingredients together. This is the longest part, and everything else is pretty easy after that. Wow, it melted down. It mixed together really well because there's very, very little on the bottom. That's what you want. You want it. You want it ready so when it activates, it all you're doing is feeding it, right? So now we're just putting it in a bowl with a bunch more food in it. So neutral oil to spray. I don't want it to stick, so I'm going to leave this. I'm going to take this out. See, it's still pretty scratchy and rough, but not too terrible. I want to put a little bit more on this because it's super scratchy. It's not the end of the world, but it is something you'll be dealing with later. So if you can get this smoothed out a little bit, it's a low hydration, but it's also instant yeast. So there's a lot of different factors you kind of have to. It's pretty rough, but okay. So it looks good. Smells right. Take my before picture. Always take a before picture and a before video, so that way you can notice how much it rose. The oven is set for right around 90 degrees. So what I'm going to want to do is leave that in there for about 45 minutes to an hour. I want it to double in size. I want it to get nice and puffy. So we're going to do that now, and we'll be back when it's ready. It's been about 50 minutes. I think it's right. Now it's about doubled in size. It should just slide out, boom. You can smell, it smells nice, and you can see it's rested, but it's full of air now, so that's good. What we're going to want to do, punch it down, get all this air out. I have no flour or anything like that on my counter here, but I do need. It's probably overkill, but I had a loaf of bread that I worked really hard on stick one time, and I was mad. So you probably, especially with this pan, these are good pans, but I don't like to take chances. I'm going to put in this work, and it's going to be something that I'm going to eat. So I don't want to fool around and like take a chance that it may or may not stick. This way, this thing is not sticking at all. Okay. oil and flour. You probably only have to do one, but I don't take chances when it comes to this. So let's point this down a little bit more. So what I try to do here is measure it up as best I can with the width. And then my battery goes out. Hold on a second. Oh, my light goes out. Adding a little bit of tension, but doesn't really need it because it's going to rise up again. So I'm going to make sure it's about the width. It's going to sit low in the pan, not a problem. The thing with this, try not to make it look like a penis too much. But I mean, if it does and that's sort of your thing, hey, it's your thing, I guess. So, bring it up, bring it in. This is the way it's going to bake. So, what I want to do here is have it as even as possible, have it as smooth as I can. It's not going to be 100% smooth. It's going to sit like this for a little while. Actually, it's going to sit like this for about 20 to 30 minutes. So, clean towel, cover over. Actually, what you got to do, always take your before picture and your before video. So this is what it looks like before I proof it, and we'll see how it goes. Cover it up. There we go. Cover it all the way up. Like I said, 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to let it sit. It's going to rise, going to fill this up a little bit more. That's good. And we'll be back. I always put stuff. I live here. I mean, this is a functional space. This isn't like a studio or something. So I'm always like worried that I have stuff in front of the camera that shouldn't be, that's going to make it focus weirdly. That just stopped. I'm going to give it another 4 minutes or so. I'm going to set a timer for 4 minutes and just keep an eye on it. It's really close. The color is not all the way there, but it has risen a decent amount, so we're really close. So go ahead and get my stuff ready. It smells right. It's starting to look right. It's risen a really nice amount. So we'll see in another few minutes. All right. Let's get this sucker out. This is going to be 30 minutes total cook time. In the real world, the next thing I'm going to do is make dinner, so I'm just making this beforehand because it's quick and easy to do. And there you go. Keep both hands on it so it doesn't slip and fall and burn your hand off by your foot. All right. Got a bag for it. Yep. Smells nice. Looks good. Check that out. So 2 hours, right around 2 hours from ingredients and fumbling around, getting everything together, to a loaf of bread with instant yeast. It's great. I really enjoy the process. I enjoy the bread making process. I need to go back and make a sourdough loaf soon, but as far as just making stuff, a yeast loaf like this, a loaf with instant, I keep calling it yeast loaf because I make sourdough too, just so I can differentiate them. But looks great, feels, I don't know about it feels, it's hot. Smells great, looks really pretty. Now just let this rest for a few hours. Really, you only need about an hour or so, probably. But I always like to let it sit at least for 4 or 5 hours to let it get completely to room temperature before I cut it.